My name is Kyle, and when the apocalypse began, I did the bravest thing any sane person could do. I ran into a janitor closet, shut the door, locked it from the inside, dragged a mop bucket in front of it, and tried not to breathe too loudly. Outside, the world was ending with fireworks. Hallway lights flashed red, sirens screamed like metal birds, a blue screen appeared in front of every human being on Earth, floating in the air like a holy warning. Welcome to the first descent. Kill monsters, gain levels, loot skills, survive the tutorial. The moment those words appeared, everyone around me changed. 1 second they were normal people in an office tower. Next second they were future heroes, future villains, future corpses, and every single one of them sprinted toward the lobby like a treasure chest had grown legs. A guy from accounting grabbed a chair and shouted that he was going to become a king. Someone from sales stabbed a vending machine with scissors because the machine had a glowing health bar. People kicked open emergency doors. People fought over fire axes. People screamed that whoever got the first kill would get a hidden class. And me. I saw one goblin crawl out of the elevator with a knife made from bone, and my soul politely left my body. So I ran. Not toward glory, not toward loot, not toward some glowing sword waiting for its chosen master. I ran toward the smallest door I could find. It was a janitor closet on the 4th floor, wedged between a restroom and a dead printer room. I had walked past it for 2 years without caring. It smelled like bleach, wet cardboard, old mop water, and defeat. It was barely big enough for a shelf, a sink, a trash bin, 2 buckets, a rolling cart, stacks of paper towels, 3 plungers, a box of gloves, and 1 coward named Kyle. Perfect. I pulled the door shut and twisted the lock. Then I pressed my back against the shelves and listened to humanity become background noise. Screams came first, then battle cries, then glass breaking, then something heavy slammed against a wall hard enough to shake dust from the ceiling. My hands were shaking so badly that the floating screen in front of me blurred. Player Kyle registered. Starting class, none. Starting weapon, none. Starting blessing, none. Starting courage, unmeasured. I stared at that last line. Even the system was making fun of me. Then the global chat opened. It filled my vision with messages from every survivor in the tutorial zone. Someone had already killed 3 goblins. Someone had found a rusty spear. Someone was bragging about a fireball skill. Someone was screaming for help. And then, because the universe wanted to season my humiliation, my name appeared at the top of the chat. System notice, Kyle has entered an unsafe hiding state. For 3 seconds, nobody understood what that meant. Then the mockery arrived like a flood. Coward. Closet boy. Imagine hiding during the tutorial. Brooke wrote Kyle honey, blink twice if the mop bucket is holding you hostage. Brooke was already famous before the apocalypse. She had been a streamer, influencer, drama machine, and professional disaster witness. Of course she was live in global chat. Of course she saw me. Of course she turned my panic into content before the first hour ended. Noah wrote one message. Weak players should stay hidden. It makes the rankings cleaner. That one hit different. Noah was on every early leaderboard already. First kill, first skill, first boss damage. He was one of those people who looked like they had been waiting their whole life for society to collapse so their personality would finally make sense. I wanted to type something clever back. Instead, I put the mop bucket in front of the door and whispered, "Please let the lock work." Then the closet lights flickered and a new system window opened. Warning, anti-camping protocol will activate if unsafe hiding continues. Threat level 1 begins in 60 seconds. I stared at it. Unsafe hiding. Protocol. Threat level. Outside the door, people were being eaten. Inside the door, I was apparently breaking a rule by not volunteering to be lunch. The timer started counting down. 60, 59, 58. My first thought was simple, leave the closet. My second thought was smarter, absolutely not. I looked around like the closet had become a treasure room. There had to be something useful. Movies always made survival look obvious. Grab the thing, combine the thing, become unstoppable. What did I have? A mop, bleach, ammonia, detergent, a metal shelf that wobbled when I breathed near it, a sink with low water pressure, a broken mirror, rubber gloves, a bucket full of gray water that looked like it had seen sins, a plunger, a tiny ceiling vent, and fear, a lot of fear. The timer reached 10. I grabbed the mop handle and snapped the head off with my foot. It became a bad spear. Then I poured bleach into the bucket, tied a paper towel around the mop tip, and tried to remember every warning label I had ever ignored. 5, 4. I tipped the shelf so it leaned against the door, then wedged the rolling cart under the handle. 3, 2. I put on gloves. 1. Threat level 1 initiated. Infestation. Something scratched behind the wall. I froze. The scratching multiplied. The wall vent above the sink trembled, and the first rat dropped into the closet like a furry missile. It was not a normal rat. It was the size of a cat, with red eyes, metal teeth, and a health bar that said tutorial rat. It landed in the sink, hissed at me, and jumped. I screamed and swung the mop spear so hard I hit the light switch. The room went dark. The rat hit my chest. Its claws scraped my shirt. I panicked, slipped on wet floor, and fell backward into the trash bin. The rat lunged at my face. I shoved the bleach-soaked mop tip into its open mouth. The rat bit down. There was a hiss, a burst of smoke, and the rat started thrashing like it had swallowed lightning. I kicked it into the bucket, slammed the lid down, and sat on it while it punched dents from the inside. Then the system chimed. You have defeated tutorial rat. Experience gained. Skill acquired, improvised weapon handling level 1. I stared at the screen. The rat stopped moving. My whole body trembled. And then I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because I realized the system had made a mistake. It thought I was hiding. But it had just sent a monster into a room where I controlled every inch. The second rat fell from the vent. This time I was ready. I threw the bucket. For the next 10 minutes, the closet became a disgusting thunderstorm of claws, bleach, mop wood, and desperate footwork. Rats came through the vent from under the door, from a crack behind the shelf that I was almost sure had not existed before. I stabbed, kicked, trapped, sprayed, crushed, and screamed so hard my throat burned. When it ended, I was standing on the rolling cart, holding half a plunger like a dagger, covered in dust and rat blood. The floor was carpeted in loot. Copper coins, tiny claws, 2 gray crystals, a skill stone the size of a cough drop. My level went from 1 to 4. My knees almost gave out. Global chat went silent for a second after the kill notices stacked. Then Brooke typed, "Wait, closet boy is farming." Noah typed nothing. That felt better than any compliment. I picked up the skill stone. Skill acquired, narrow space combat. The words slid into my head like cold water. Suddenly I could feel the closet differently, not magically exactly, more like my fear had become a measuring tape. I knew how far the wall was behind me. I knew how much room I needed to swing. I knew where the shelf would fall if kicked. I knew which puddle was slippery enough to ruin a monster's charge. I looked at the door. Outside was a hallway full of chaos. Inside was a murder box with cleaning supplies. The system displayed another warning. Anti-camping threat level 2 begins in 5 minutes. Recommended action, relocate. I wiped my mouth with my sleeve. Recommended action denied. I had been mocked by the whole world for hiding. But the world had misunderstood something important. I was not brave enough to rush into the apocalypse. So I would make the apocalypse rush into me. 5 minutes is not long unless death is coming through the walls. Then 5 minutes becomes a lifetime and a final exam. I did not waste it. First, I checked the door. The lock was weak, but the frame was thick. The rolling cart under the handle helped, but if something heavier than rats hit it, I would become a red stain beside the mop bucket. So I stripped the metal shelf bare. Paper towels went into the sink. Chemical bottles went on the top rack. The shelf itself became a second barricade. I twisted mop handles through the rack and wedged them against the floor like ugly spears angled at knee height. Then I studied the dead rats. That sounds insane, but insanity had already kicked in the office windows and handed everyone a leaderboard. The rats had metal teeth, real metal. When I pried them out with a screwdriver from the janitor cart, each tooth became a curved blade. I taped 6 teeth to the broken mop handle and made something between a rake and a nightmare. The system watched me work. Trap crafting detected. Skill acquired, cheap trap making level 1. I did not like the word cheap, but I accepted the gift. Next, I tested the chemicals. Bleach burned rats, detergent made the floor slippery. A drain cleaner bottle had warning labels that looked more dangerous than any goblin. I mixed nothing because I was scared of creating gas that would kill me faster than monsters could. Instead, I made separate zones. Slippery zone by the door. Burning zone under the vent. Sticky zone near the sink using spilled soap and rat fur, which was disgusting but effective. I tore paper towels into strips, soaked them in cleaner, and tied them to hooks under the shelf like tiny flags of regret. If a monster rushed in low, the strips would slap its eyes. Finally, I looked up at the vents. The rats had used it like a highway. So I removed the vent cover, sharpened its edge with a metal file I found in the toolbox, tied it to a cord from the mop bucket wringer, and turned it into a hanging blade. If anything dropped through, I could pull the cord and slice downward. Was it perfect? No. Was it stupid? Absolutely. But the apocalypse had started less than an hour ago, and I was already a landlord of pain. The 5-minute timer reached 0. Threat level 2 initiated, restless dead. The hallway outside went quiet. That was worse than screaming. Then something bumped against the closet door. Once, twice, a wet hand slapped the glass strip in the door window. I could not see much through the frosted panel, just a shape leaning close, dragging its face across the glass. The smell arrived before the monster did. Rot, dirt, old blood, and office coffee. The door shook. The barricade held. The zombie outside made a hungry sound that vibrated in my teeth. Then another one joined it. Then another. The global chat started laughing again when the system announced my new threat. Brooke wrote, and now he has zombies at his closet door. Someone clipped this. A random player wrote, open the door, Kyle, share the loot. I did not answer. I was too busy watching the hinges. The zombies pushed harder, the shelf groaned, the cart rolled an inch. An inch was enough to make my heart hit my ribs. I needed them inside, but not all at once. That was the first real lesson the closet taught me. A locked door is not a wall. It is a filter. I pulled the cart back just enough for the door to crack open. A gray hand slipped through. I slammed the cart forward. Bones snapped. The zombie screamed. I stabbed through the crack with the rat tooth rake. The teeth sank into dead flesh. The zombie pushed forward, impaling itself deeper, and the angled mop handles under the shelf caught its legs. Its weight jammed the door. Perfect. I had accidentally invented a corpse wedge. I kicked the bottom of the door and used the zombie's own body to block the others. The trapped one thrashed. I poured drain cleaner over its head through the crack. It shrieked so loudly that I almost dropped the bottle. System notice, environmental damage bonus. Good. I liked bonuses. I hooked the zombie's tie with the plunger handle and pulled its head sideways until its neck pressed against the sharpened vent cover I had mounted near the door. Then I yanked the cord. The blade dropped. The head rolled into the closet and landed in the bucket. I kicked the bucket away before it could bite my ankle. You have defeated Office Zombie. Experience gained. Item acquired, rotten stamina core. The other zombies tried to climb over the body. That only made the wedge stronger. I killed them one by one through the same crack like I was working at the world's worst ticket booth. Stab, pour, hook, slice, kick the head. Repeat. The process was ugly. My arms burned. My stomach flipped every time dead fingers scraped my gloves, but the more I did it, the calmer I became. The closet was not small anymore. It was precise. Every object had a purpose. Every inch had a name in my head. Door mouth, bucket pit, shelf spine, sink corner, vent throat, dead zone, safe toe spot, blind swing lane. By the 10th zombie, my body moved before I thought. By the 15th, I stopped screaming. By the 20th, the system gave me another skill. Skill upgraded, narrow space combat level 3. Skill acquired, barricade mastery level 1. Then something stranger happened. The closet itself glowed. For 1 second, the walls pulsed blue, and a new status screen appeared. Unsafe location has accumulated repeated combat events. Temporary location trait acquired, contested shelter. Effects minor durability increase, minor loot retention, minor intimidation aura. I did not know what intimidation aura meant until the next zombie crawled halfway through the door, looked at me, looked at the pile of heads, and hesitated. A zombie hesitated. I smiled with cracked lips. Then I stabbed it in the eye. When the wave ended, I was level 9. The hallway outside was clogged with bodies. The closet floor was layered with coins, cores, broken items, and enough filth to make a health inspector quit reality. Global chat was no longer laughing as hard. Brooke wrote, okay, I admit it, this is weirdly working. Noah finally typed again. Low-level farming in a corner does not matter. Bosses decide the rankings. I looked at my closet, my traps, my new cores, and the system warning already counting down to threat level 3. Maybe he was right. Bosses decided the rankings. So I needed to make the closet into a place where bosses made bad decisions. Threat level 3 gave me 20 minutes. That was a gift. I used the zombie cores first. Each one pulsed with rotten energy, but the system let me crush them for stamina or install them into the room. Installing sounded insane, which meant it was probably powerful. I pressed one core into the door frame. The wood swallowed it. The frame darkened like it had veins. Barricade reinforcement added. I pressed another into the shelf. Shelf durability increased. I pressed 2 into the floor, right where monsters slipped. Rot snare created. A circle of gray light spread across the tiles. When I touched it with the mop handle, sticky hands made of mist grabbed the wood and held it for 3 seconds before dissolving. 3 seconds was forever in a closet. I laughed again, and this time it sounded less broken. Then I opened the loot list. Rat claws could become caltrops. Zombie teeth could become serrated wire if combined with mop cord. Rotten cloth could be braided into binding strips. Coin fragments could be fed to the door lock to upgrade it. The system was not giving me swords, armor, or heroic blessings. It was giving me trash. But trash in the hands of a coward is just strategy waiting to happen. I made a murder curtain from paper towel rolls, zombie teeth, and wire pulled from the broken hand dryer in the restroom wall. To reach the hand dryer, I had to open the closet door 6 inches, stretch my arm through a battlefield of corpses, and unscrew the panel while listening to goblins laugh somewhere down the hall. It was the worst home improvement project of my life. But when I pulled the wire back inside and tied it across the doorway, it became a throat-height trap for anything that charged. Then I upgraded the mop buckets. The bucket had survived rats, zombies, and my panic. It deserved respect. I lined its rim with metal teeth, filled it with soap water and broken glass, then connected it to the door with a cord. If something pushed through, the bucket would swing from the shelf and smash into its knees. I called it the friendship bucket. No one else needed to know. The system did. Name trap recognized, friendship bucket. Morale increased by 1. I stared at the screen. The system had a sense of humor, and I did not know if that made me safer or doomed. The third timer ended. Threat level 3 initiated, hunters. At first, nothing happened. Then I heard footsteps. Not shambling, not scratching. Careful footsteps. 3 sets. Something whispered outside the door. The whisper was not English, but my new skills translated the meaning through intent. Pray inside. Trap smell. Small room. Smoke it out. My blood went cold. Rats attacked, zombies pushed. Hunters planned. A thin blade slid under the door and scraped along the floor, testing for wires. It found one rat claw caltrop and flicked it aside. Another blade poked through the frosted window, carving a small hole. A yellow eye peered in. The creature outside had gray skin, a hood made from stitched leather, and a smile full of hooks. It saw me. I saw it. It grinned like it had found a snack. Then it tossed a smoking pellet through the hole. The closet filled with green gas. My eyes burned instantly. I dropped low, grabbed the sink hose, and turned the water on. Weak water trickled out, not enough. The gas spread. I had seconds. That was when I remembered the paper towels in the sink. I shoved wet towels over my face, crawled under the shelf, and kicked the detergent bottle into the door. The bottle burst, flooding the floor with slick blue liquid. The hunters opened the door. They did not rush. They moved like knives with legs. The first one stepped over the threshold, saw the murder curtain, and ducked. Smart. Too smart. So I changed the rule. I grabbed the cord to the friendship bucket and pulled early. The bucket swung low, not at its knees, but into the detergent puddle. It splashed soap, glass, and zombie slime across the floor. The hunter dodged backward, exactly where I wanted. Its heel hit the rot snare. Gray hands grabbed its ankle. For 3 seconds, the smartest monster in the room became furniture. I yanked the murder curtain sideways. The wire wrapped around its neck. It clawed at the wire, but its hands were full of blades. Bad choice. I pulled harder. The wire bit deep. The second hunter threw a knife at my head. I tilted by instinct. Narrow space combat made the world slow down for one breath. The knife missed by an inch and stuck in the shelf. I grabbed it. Now I had a real weapon. The third hunter climbed the wall. It planted claws into tile, crawled above the shelf, and came at me from the ceiling like a spider nightmare. I did not have time to aim. So I used the room. I kicked the shelf leg. The reinforced shelf did not collapse, it pivoted. All the chemical bottles on top slid at once. Bleach, drain cleaner, disinfectant, and floor polish rained upward in my vision as the spider hunter dropped into them. Bottles burst. The hunter screamed. I pulled the vent blade cord. The sharpened cover fell, clipped one of its arms, and pinned its sleeve to the wall. The trapped first hunter finally broke free from the snare and lunged. I threw the wet paper towels at its face. That sounds useless until you remember the towels were soaked in green smoke and cleaner. They slapped over its eyes, stuck there, and made it tear at its own face. I shoved the hunter's stolen knife through the towel. You have defeated Smoke Hunter. Level up. The second hunter tried to retreat. That was new. Monsters could decide the closet was not worth it. I could not allow that. If threats escaped, they might bring more in a smarter pattern. Worse, they might report the layout. My whole advantage was surprise and pain. So I opened the door wider. For the first time since the apocalypse began, I stepped 1 foot outside. Only one. Hallway was a disaster. Bodies, broken lights, blood trails, goblin graffiti, and glowing loot nobody had dared collect near my door. The second hunter was limping away. I hooked its cloak with the plunger handle and pulled. It spun, snarling. I let go and jumped back into the closet. It followed. Of course it followed. The moment it crossed the threshold, the door lock snapped shut behind it. I had fed coin fragments into the lock until it became a greedy little monster of its own. Autolock acquired. The hunter realized it was trapped with me. I realized something too. I was smiling. The fight lasted 12 seconds. The room helped with every movement. The snare grabbed, the shelf blocked, the door bounced its shoulder, the bucket caught its knee, the stolen knife found the soft part under its chin. When the third hunter died, the system did not give me a simple reward. It asked a question. Repeated defense of unsafe location has exceeded expected survival value. Do you wish to claim this location? I stared at the screen. Claim. A blue outline traced the closet walls. Claiming may increase threat response. Claiming may bind you to location. Claiming may awaken location ego. Recommended for players with fortress, dungeon, or monarch paths. I had no paths. I had no courage. I had no plan outside this room. So I pressed yes. The closet shook. Light bulb exploded, but instead of darkness, blue lines burned across the walls like veins of cold fire. The sink straightened, the shelf fused to the floor, the door grew thicker, the frosted window turned black. Then a voice whispered from everywhere and nowhere. Owner recognized. I swallowed. The closet had spoken. I whispered back hello. The voice answered in a calm, feminine tone. Designation requested. I thought about calling it something cool, like Fortress Core or Death Chamber. But I had been alone for hours, terrified, mocked, and covered in monster slime. The first name that came to mind was Gentle. Iris. Designation accepted. Global chat exploded. Brooke wrote, did the coward just become a property owner? Noah wrote, temporary gimmick. I leaned against the shelf, breathing hard, while the closet walls pulsed around me like a living heart. Maybe it was a gimmick. But it was my gimmick. And for the first time since the world ended, I was not hiding in the closet. I was holding it. Iris did not talk much at first. She was more feeling than voice, a pressure in the walls, a blink in the dark window, a little pulse in the floor when an enemy stepped near the door. But she changed everything. Before Iris, I had to guess where threats were coming from. After Iris, the closet became my skin. I felt vibrations in the hallway through the hinges. I felt the weight of corpses outside. I felt mana gathering in the vent. I felt a goblin crawl close to steal loot and freeze when the intimidation aura touched its toes. Iris whispered, small thief detected. I whispered, let it take 1 coin. The goblin reached for a copper coin. The autolog clicked. The door opened half an inch. A rat claw trap snapped out and pinched the goblin's finger. It yelped and dropped a pouch. Iris whispered, tribute acquired. I liked Iris. Threat level 4 gave me 30 minutes and 1 system message that made my stomach tight. Assassins incoming. Hunters had been smart. Assassins would be worse. I checked global chat while I worked. Outside, players were forming teams. Safe zones had appeared in the lobby and cafeteria. Rankers were hunting bosses in the parking garage. People were leveling fast. Rook had somehow turned her fear into influence. She posted updates constantly, ranking players by kills, skills, and drama. I was still a joke, but a different kind now. People called me Closet Lord. Some meant it as an insult. Some meant it like they were not sure anymore. Noah was rank 1. Of course. He had found a lightning blade, killed a floor boss, and unlocked something called Storm Duelist. He announced that once the tutorial barrier dropped, he would clear useless players who dragged down humanity's survival rating. Everyone knew he meant me. Rook wrote I would pay coins to watch Noah try to fit his ego into Kyle's closet. I almost laughed. Then Iris warned me. Assassin's signature detected in blind angles. Blind angles. The closet had almost none. That was the point. Then I saw it. Not at the door, not in the vent, not under the crack. In my shadow. The assassin was entering through my shadow. A black blade rose from the floor behind my heel. I jumped onto the sink as the blade cut through my shoelace. A figure unfolded from darkness, thin and silent, wearing a mask with no mouth. Its health bar read Tutorial Assassin, but the level number was hidden. That felt rude. It looked around the closet. Then it looked at me. It did not charge. It waited. The second assassin came through the door window as smoke. The third slipped from the vent as a ribbon of black cloth. I had trapped doors, floors, and walls. The system had sent enemies that ignored doors, floors, and walls. For one terrible second, the closet became small again. Too small. 3 assassins, 1 me. Then Iris whispered, Owner, redefine territory. I did not understand. Iris pulsed the wall beside the sink. There, glowing faintly, was the claim menu. Closet territory, 1 room. Available expansion, connected pipe space, door threshold, shadow residue. Cost hunter cores, coins, blood. Blood. I did not have time to ask questions. The assassin from my shadow stepped forward. I cut my palm on the stolen knife and slapped it against the wall. Except, the room inhaled. My blood vanished into the tile lines. Territory expanded, shadow residue. Suddenly, every shadow in the closet belonged to me too. The assassin standing in my shadow stiffened. I felt its feet not as flesh, but as pressure on territory. I grinned. You picked the wrong darkness. I stomped. The shadow under it became a hole for 1 breath. The assassin dropped knee-deep into black tar. It slashed at me. I ducked. The blade cut a chemical bottle behind me. Clear liquid sprayed into the air. The smoke assassin formed near the ceiling and threw needles. I grabbed the hanging vent cord, swung the blade like a fan, and knocked 2 needles aside. The third hit my shoulder. My arm went numb instantly. Poison. Of course. I stumbled and the ribbon assassin wrapped around my throat. No air. No space. No strength. Global chat pinged in the corner of my vision. Brooke wrote his kill count stopped. Wait, did he die? Noah wrote predictable. Something ugly woke in my chest. Fear had brought me into the closet. Mockery had kept me angry. But those 2 words from Noah turned anger into calculation. Predictable. Fine. I would become impossible to predict. I let my body go limp. The ribbon assassin tightened, thinking I had passed out. The shadow assassin pulled free and lunged. The smoke assassin dropped from above. All 3 attacked the same spot. The spot where my body had been. But narrow space combat level 5 gave me a movement option I had ignored because it sounded stupid. Emergency fold. In a normal room, it was useless. It let a player collapse sideways into any gap wider than their shoulders. In my room, I knew every gap. I folded between the shelf and wall. The 3 assassins hit each other. The black blade pierced smoke. The smoke needles pierced ribbon. The ribbon wrapped the shadow assassin's arm. I could not feel my right arm, so I used my left hand to pull the friendship bucket cord. The bucket swung. It did not kill anything. It smashed the sink handle. Water blasted out, far stronger than before because Iris forced pressure through the pipe territory. Water filled the floor, detergent spread, shadows broke into ripples. The shadow assassin lost form. I slammed a hunter core into the wet floor. Rot snare became rot marsh. Gray hands erupted everywhere. The assassins were fast, but they needed footing. The closet no longer provided that. I threw rat tooth caltrops into the water. Iris pulsed the floor. The caltrops drifted exactly where feet would land. The smoke assassin tried to turn intangible. I sprayed it with disinfectant. Its smoke body clumped like wet ash. The ribbon assassin tried to flee through the vent. Iris shut the vent like a jaw. The shadow assassin tried to dive back into darkness. I whispered, "Lock the shadow." Iris answered, "Locked." The assassin hit the floor like a bird hitting glass. I killed them in the order of escape risk. Smoke first because it could become gas. Ribbon second because it could squeeze through cracks. Shadow last because I wanted to test something. I pinned it with wrought hands, dragged its blade across the floor, and carved a circle around it using my own blood as ink. The system recognized the shape before I did. Trap acquired, captive shadow seal. The assassin became a black stain on the tile, still alive, still angry, but trapped. Iris whispered, "Resource contained." I whispered back, "Can we use it?" Processing. Then the closet walls darkened. New function unlocked, shadow storage. I stared at the trapped assassin stain. "You mean inventory?" Iris paused. "Cruder." That was how I got my first pocket dimension. Not from a sage, not from a treasure chest, from bullying an assassin into becoming closet storage. When threat level 4 ended, my level hit 15. My closet upgraded again. Contested shelter evolved into fortified safe room. Door durability increased, internal space efficiency increased, owner recovery increased while seated on bucket. I looked at the buckets. The system had chosen my throne. Global chat went wild. Brooke wrote he is sitting on a bucket and out-leveling half the floor. Someone wrote the closet is hacking. Noah wrote all structures fall. I leaned back on my bucket throne, shoulder burning from poison, palm bleeding, hair plastered to my face, and watched Iris absorb the assassin's shadows into the walls. All structures fall. Maybe. But some structures fall on top of the people who attack them. The poison should have killed me. It did not because the closet decided death was bad for property values. Owner recovery increased. That tiny line became the difference between a corpse and me sweating through a fever on a mop bucket, while Iris filtered poison out of my blood using pipe water, rotten cores, and something she called acceptable. Suffering. I did not like that phrase. For 2 hours I shook, cursed, and upgraded traps with one working hand. Outside, the tutorial kept changing. The office tower was no longer just an office tower. Floors stretched, hallways looped, conference rooms became arenas, the cafeteria became a trade zone, the parking garage became a monster nest. The roof became a storm altar because Noah had claimed it after killing the boss there. And my janitor closet became a rumor. Players started coming to the 4th floor just to look at the door. Some left. Some begged to enter. Some tried to steal loot. Iris gave me visitor warnings with helpful labels. Weak scavenger. Armed scavenger. Desperate healer. Ranker scout. The desperate healer was Ava. She became important because she did something nobody else had done. She knocked. Not kicked, not stabbed, not mocked through chat. She knocked 3 times and said, "Kyle, I can trade healing for shelter." Her voice was tired but steady. I checked the door window. Iris showed me a thin outline of a young woman standing in the hallway with a cracked wand, torn sleeves, and 3 goblin arrows stuck in the backpack she had strapped over her chest like armor. Her health bar was low, her mana was lower, her eyes were sharp. Ava, important question. Was she bait? Iris whispered, no hostile intent detected, high survival utility, severe exhaustion, hidden knife in left boot. I respected the knife. I opened the door 2 inches. Ava looked through the gap and did not flinch at the smell. That alone made her stronger than most players. She lifted one hand and showed a glowing skill mark. I can heal poison. I need somewhere safe for 5 minutes. No one gets 5 minutes for free, I said. I have information. I considered. Information was better than coins. Coins upgraded locks. Information kept me from needing locks. I let her in under 3 rules. First, she stayed in the marked safe toe spot. Second, she touched nothing. Third, if she betrayed me, the bucket got custody. She glanced at the bucket throne. I don't want to know what that means. Smart. She healed my shoulder. Warm light pushed the assassin poison out like ink from a sponge. I almost cried from relief, but I turned it into a cough because dignity was already on life support. Then Ava paid with information. The tutorial had a hidden contribution score, not just kills. Area control, resource generation, player influence, boss impact, survival streaks, and anomaly creation all counted. Rankers did not know the exact formula, but guilds were testing it. My closet was an anomaly. That meant people would come. Not just monsters, players. Ava said Noah had already sent scouts. He was angry because my kill counter kept climbing without me joining his raid group. Rook was streaming my progress through chat because everyone loved watching the coward become a glitch. Some players thought if they killed me, they could claim the closet. I looked around my tiny room. The walls pulsed, offended. Iris whispered, theft attempt probability increasing. Ava noticed the walls move. Your closet is alive. It is sensitive, I said. Ava nodded like that was normal. Good, living places keep secrets better than people. That was the first moment I thought Ava might survive the week. She asked if she could stay longer. I said no. Not because I disliked her, because the closet was strong for one person and dangerous for two. Every trap, every gap, every panic route had been built around my body. Add a second person, and the room became crowded in the wrong way. But I made a deal. She would be my outside eyes. She could bring information, healing, and materials. In exchange, I would give her safe access for short rests, emergency shelter, and loot she could carry. Iris marked her as provisional ally. Ava smiled faintly. I was starting to think the closet thing was pathetic. Now I think everyone else is stupid. I liked that too. When she left, I gave her 3 rat claw caltrops and a soap bomb. She asked what a soap bomb did. I said mostly embarrassment. 10 minutes later, Global Chat reported that a ranker scout had slipped down an entire staircase after chasing a healer. Ava did not thank me. She did not need to. The next anti-camping warning arrived during the laughter. Threat level 5, Elite Purge Squad. Recommended action, surrender location. Surrender. That word made the closet temperature drop. Iris whispered, unacceptable. I agreed. The Purge Squad came at midnight, not because the system needed darkness, but because drama has a schedule. By then, I had turned the fortified safe room into something uglier. I used hunter bones to reinforce the shelf, assassin shadow to create hidden pockets, zombie cores for self-repair. Rat teeth for traps so small even I forgot where half of them were until Iris reminded me not to step there. Ava had delivered 3 treasures from outside. A cracked vending machine shield. A coil of elevator cable. A broken office badge printer. The shield became door plating. The cable became a pulley system connected to the bucket, shelf, vent blade, and a new trap called the regret lever. The badge printer became my favorite tool because it still worked if fed monocrystals. It printed names. Not real names, system labels. I could tag items, traps, and zones. When something is named, the system pays attention. So I named every part of the closet like a mad architect. Door mouth, debt floor, friendship bucket, mercy gap, no mercy gap, sink cannon, bad idea shelf, shadow pantry, rat tax field. Each name gave a tiny bonus, nothing huge, 1% here, half a second there, slight fear, slight pull, slight durability, but cleverness is just stacking small unfair things until they look like destiny. The Purge Squad did not knock. They arrived in perfect formation outside the door, 5 armored figures with white masks, tower shields, spears, and a floating system banner above them. Elite Purge Squad. Purpose: remove invalid shelter exploit. Invalid exploit. I took that personally. The first shield slammed into the door. The whole closet shook. The second shield slammed. The vending machine plating bent. The third slam cracked the tile under my feet. I had planned for blades, claws, gas, smoke, poison, and teleportation. I had not planned for disciplined teamwork. That was my mistake. The Purge Squad did not rush into traps. They attacked the room itself. Spears stabbed through the door in a grid pattern, forcing me away from the entrance. Shields crushed the frame. One unit sprayed holy fire along the floor crack, burning away rot snares. Iris whispered, structural integrity falling. I whispered suggestions. Abandon outer door. I looked at the door that had saved my life since minute 1. It felt like being asked to cut off my own arm. But the smartest move is not always defending what you love. Sometimes it is making the enemy pay for taking it. I grabbed the regret lever. Every cable tightened. The shelf folded inward, the bucket rose, the vent blade locked, the door plating loosened, the shadow pantry opened under the threshold like a black mouth. The purge squad hit the door again. This time I let it break. The door exploded inward. The squad advanced one step. One step was all I needed. I pulled the regret lever. The broken door plating fell flat like a drawbridge, but the underside was covered in rat teeth, zombie wire, and hunter hooks. The front two purge units stepped onto it and got nailed in place. The bucket dropped from above, not swinging now, but falling straight down with elevator cable force. It smashed the first unit's helmet into its chest. The shelf unfolded sideways, pushing the third unit into the wall. The shadow pantry swallowed the fourth unit's spear and did not give it back. The fifth unit raised its hand and cast a barrier. That one was the commander. Iris marked it red. Commander unit adapting. The commander pointed at me. A beam of white light cut through the closet. I ducked behind the vending shield, but the beam burned through it, through the shelf, through 3 traps, and through the wall behind me. For the first time, there was a hole in the back of the closet. Cold air rushed in from a space that should not exist. Behind the wall was not the printer room. It was darkness with stairs going down. Iris whispered, expansion path revealed. The commander charged. I had no door, no front barricade, and half my traps were burning. So I did the thing no one expected. I retreated. Not out into the hallway. Down. I jumped through the broken wall into the impossible stairwell. The commander followed because commanders hate loose ends. The moment it crossed from closet to stairwell, the system window flashed. Location evolution condition met. Fortified safe room expanding into pocket dungeon. Owner may define first rule. First rule. The commander raised its glowing blade. I had 1 second. I thought about rules I wish the world had followed. Be fair, be kind, do not laugh at people who are scared. Then I thought about what actually kept me alive. Punish people for assuming the room is simple. I spoke the rule. Every invader must pay attention to the floor. The stairwell laughed. Every step under the commander changed height. One stair became 6 inches taller, the next sank, the next tilted left, the next turned slick. The commander, perfect and disciplined, stumbled like a drunk robot. I kicked its knee. It fell forward. The stair edges opened tiny metal mouths. Rat teeth bit into its armor joints. It fired another beam, but the staircase bent the angle. The beam shot upward, through the broken wall, and hit the remaining purge units from behind. Global chat filled with kill notices. Brooke wrote, "Did Kyle just make stairs illegal?" I did not have time to enjoy that. The commander was still alive. It crawled toward me with one arm, armor cracked, white mask split. It grabbed my ankle. Its grip was stronger than anything I had felt. I raised the stolen hunter knife, but it snapped against the commander's gauntlet. It pulled me down. I slammed my palm against the stair. Iris. She answered without words. The staircase became part of the closet. The closet became more than a closet. The dungeon inhaled through every crack, every pipe, every shadow. And the friendship bucket rolled down the stairs like a holy boulder of filth. It bounced once, twice, then smashed into the commander's head. The commander's health bar finally emptied. You have defeated Elite Purge Commander. Massive experience gained. Location evolution complete. Janitor Closet has evolved into first floor dungeon seed. Owner title acquired, Coward Architect. I sat on the stairs, bleeding, laughing, and too tired to be insulted. Coward Architect. Fine. If the system wanted to call me a coward, I would make cowardice a profession. By morning, the hallway outside my closet had changed. The broken door was gone. In its place stood a black metal entrance with a frosted window that showed nothing but blue light. Above it, a sign had appeared. Kyle's Closet. Someone in global chat posted a picture. For 10 minutes, the entire tutorial forgot about monsters and argued about whether my door was funny or terrifying. Brooke wrote, "I regret to inform everyone that the closet now has branding." Noah wrote, "Temporary structures can be cleared." Ava sent me a private message. "You are insane. Also, I need to use your safe spot." I let her in. But when the door opened, she did not step into the same closet. She stepped into a room that was still the size of a closet on the outside, but inside had grown into a crooked chamber with 3 narrow paths, a sink altar, a shelf wall, a bucket throne, and the new stairwell. Descending into blue darkness. Ava stared. Iris whispered, provisional ally impressed. Ava said, Kyle, your closet is bigger than the break room. I said, please do not tell the break room. She handed me supplies, bandages, monster cores, a cracked tablet, and a piece of boss armor she said she definitely found and did not steal from Noah's raid. I believed half of that. Boss armor was important. It came from a storm beast Noah had killed on the roof. It still held lightning. If I installed it wrong, it would fry me. If I installed it right, it would give my dungeon a power source. Iris wanted it. Ava wanted payment. I gave her a shadow storage mark, but limited. She could store 3 small items in a pocket shadow connected to the closet. If she betrayed me, the shadow would return everything to me, including whatever fingers were inside at the time. Ava accepted without blinking. Then she told me trouble was coming. Not system trouble. Player trouble. The top 20 rankers were forming a coalition. Noah was pushing the idea that I was an exploit. He claimed my dungeon was stealing tutorial resources and lowering everyone's reward tier. Most people did not believe him, but greed does not need belief. It only needs a target. If they killed me, maybe they could claim the dungeon. If they could not claim it, maybe they could loot it. If they could not loot it, maybe destroying it would raise their rankings. Brooke was not with them, but she was not with me either. She had built a spectator network using global chat, rumor, and tiny camera spirits. She wanted the best story. Right now, I was the best story. Ava said she will sell you out if it makes a better show. I nodded. Then we make selling me out dangerous. That became my next plan. Not defense. Narrative control. People were not just attacking my closet because it had loot. They were attacking because I was still the coward in their heads. A coward with traps is annoying. A dungeon owner is a threat, but a necessary evil. A person who controls the safest rest point on the 4th floor. That is harder to kill. So I started offering services. Small ones. Not full entry, never full entry. Players could slide coins, cores, or items through the door mouth. In exchange, Iris dispensed cleaned water, bandages Ava prepared, rat claw traps, anti-zombie door wedges, or 5 minutes of hallway protection. I did not help everyone. I helped selectively. Weak players with useful information paid less. Greedy players paid more. Noah's scouts paid double and received items that worked exactly as described, but with embarrassing side effects. One scout bought a smoke bomb and vanished from a goblin patrol, only to reappear covered in glittering soap foam. Brooke posted about it for 20 minutes. The chat changed again. Closet Boy became Closet Shop. Closet Shop became Kyle's Dungeon Mart. Kyle's Dungeon Mart became Why is the Coward's equipment better than Ranker loot? Noah hated that. I knew because his next message was short. Stop feeding on fear. I typed my first public reply. Stop donating it. Global chat froze. Then Brooke wrote, he speaks. I went back to work. I installed the storm armor above the sink altar. Lightning crawled across the pipes. The sink coughed once, spat black water, then poured bright blue current into a bucket. Iris whispered, power grid awakened. The dungeon lights came on. Not office lights. Dungeon lights. Blue lanterns formed in the walls. The stairwell extended. New rooms became possible. Choose expansion. Options appeared. Trap hole. Rest chamber. Core vault. Monster pen. Loot refinery. A normal person might choose rest chamber. A greedy person might choose loot refinery. A villain might choose monster pen. I chose trap hole. Then I used the remaining materials to fake a rest chamber entrance. That was the kind of person I had become. The coalition arrived that afternoon. It did not come as a mindless mob. Noah was too smart for that. He sent 3 groups. The first group came openly, carrying shields and shouting that they were here to liberate resources for humanity. The second group climbed the outer wall of the office tower and tried to enter through the restroom window beside my closet. The third group used stealth skills and crawled through the ceiling ducts. Ava warned me about the first group. Iris felt the second. The captive assassin shadow smelled the third and hissed inside the walls. I smiled. 3 groups meant 3 lessons. For the open group, I opened the front door. That shocked them. They had prepared to break in, not be welcomed. The entrance showed a clean, warm hallway with soft light and a sign that said rest chamber. I had made it look safe using illusion powder from Hunter Eyes and Brooke's own public descriptions of what scared people wanted to see. The first group rushed inside. The door shut. The hallway stretched. The sign changed. Trap hole. I will not pretend it was a noble fight. It was slapstick violence with consequences. Floors tilted, walls coughed soap mist, tiny rat teeth popped from harmless-looking carpet. The friendship bucket appeared at the end of the hall like a myth. People swung at illusions, slipped into each other, dropped weapons, triggered their own shields, and got chased by rolling mop heads with knives taped to them. No one died at first. That was intentional. Dead players created enemies with revenge motives. Humiliated players created rumors. I wanted rumors. Iris displayed their panic on small wall screens while I adjusted traps from the bucket throne. Ava watched beside me, horrified and impressed. "You could just kill them," she said. "And waste marketing." She stared. "Kyle, that is the most disturbing thing you have said." From the outside wall, the second group broke through the restroom window. I had already expanded pipe territory. The restroom belonged to me in pieces, not as a full room but as connected plumbing, mirrors, drains, and wet tile. That was enough. When the climbers entered, every sink turned on at once. Mirrors fogged, toilets flushed like war drums, the floor became a water puzzle. They thought they were avoiding my front door. They had entered the sink's kingdom. Iris whispered, restroom subdomain unstable but enthusiastic. I activated the storm armor. Lightning traveled through water lines, not enough to kill, but enough to lock muscles and drop people into humiliating poses. One climber landed face first in a trash can. Another tried to stand and kept moonwalking into a stall. The third escaped through the window, only for Ava to throw a soap bomb after him. He slid down 4 floors, screaming. Global chat received the clip from Brooke within seconds. Brooke wrote, "I have never respected plumbing until today." The third group was the real threat. Stealth players and ceiling ducks did not care about humiliation. They wanted my core. Dungeon core had formed beneath the sink altar, a blue crystal wrapped in pipe roots and shadow. If they damaged it, Iris might die. If they stole it, I might become just a scared guy in a closet again. The duck team moved quietly. Too quietly. They avoided loose panels. They crawled around wire traps. They used muffling skills and heat cloaks. But they forgot something. The first monsters came through the vent. I knew vents better than any heroic battlefield. I had mapped every screw, draft, echo, and dust pattern. I had turned the vent throat into a listening organ. I did not need to see the stealth team. I knew where the dust stopped falling. I opened shadow storage beneath them. Not enough to swallow them. Just enough to steal their belts. 3 stealth players dropped from the ceiling at once, pants around their ankles, dignity destroyed before combat began. Ava covered her face. Iris whispered, morale attack successful. They still fought well. One threw a flash stone. One used a silence field that muted Iris for 5 seconds. One sprinted straight for the core with a dagger made to cut ownership bonds. 5 seconds without Iris felt like losing my heartbeat. But I had prepared for that too. The smartest enemy always aims for the obvious command link. So I built dumb backup systems. Physical strings. Weighted bottles. Spring-loaded shelves. A bucket balanced on a broom handle, connected to a door hinge by elevator cable. When the silence field shut down Iris, the old closet woke up. No magic, no voice, just trash engineering. The core thief stepped on a loose tile. The tile pulled a string. The string tipped a bottle. The bottle dropped into a bucket. The bucket's weight yanked a cable. The cable released the shelf. The shelf punched him into the wall. The flash user slipped on detergent I had spread by hand. The silence user dodged every magical trap and stepped directly into the no mercy gap, which was just a hole covered by paper towels. Sometimes the classics are enough. When Iris came back, she sounded almost proud. Owner survived system silence. I said always keep a stupid plan. The coalition failed. Noah had not personally joined, which meant he would claim the attackers were weak and try again later, but the public damage was done. Brooke's recap of the raid became the most watched chat thread in the tutorial. Players who had mocked me started trading with me. Players who had feared me started making pilgrimages to the 4th floor. Players who wanted to kill me started realizing they would need a better excuse than pride. Then the system announced the mid-tutorial event. All players prepare. 3 floor guardians will awaken in 12 hours. Guardian rewards determine final tutorial ranking. Top contributors gain class ascension. The global chat became a war room. Noah immediately declared he would kill the roof guardian. Brooke announced she would follow the biggest battle. Ava privately asked what I was going to do. I looked at the dungeon map. My territory was still mostly the closet, the first trap hall, the stairwell, pieces of plumbing, and a few shadow paths. The guardians would spawn far away. The system wanted players to leave their shelters and fight. I could almost hear it laughing at me. I said I am going to bring one here. Ava stared. You cannot lure a guardian into a closet. I looked at the bucket throne, the sink altar, the shadow pantry, the trap hall, the impossible stairs, and the living walls. Not with that attitude. The first guardian spawned in the cafeteria. It was a giant butcher made of lunch trays, steam, and rage. The second spawned in the parking garage. It was a centipede bus with headlights for eyes. The third spawned on the roof. It was the storm angel Noah wanted, a winged creature wrapped in lightning chains and broken office antennas. Noah took 40 players to the roof. Brooke followed, of course. She wanted the grand battle. Ava went too, not to help Noah, but to watch and steal information for me. I stayed in the closet. Global chat returned to old habits. They said I had finally reached my limit. They said I could farm rats and players, but real bosses required courage. They said the closet could not climb stairs. They were wrong about the last part. It could not climb stairs yet. So I made it hungry. I opened the dungeon command menu and studied the guardian rules. They were too strong to teleport, too large for normal corridors, immune to cheap traps, resistant to poison. Attracted to high contribution signatures, rare cores, and territory claims. Attracted to territory claims. That was the crack. I could not move the closet to the guardian. But I could make the guardian think my closet was stealing its territory. I used every coin I had to print claim tags from the badge printer. Then I loaded the tags into shadow storage and gave Ava the release phrase. When she reached the roof, she scattered my tags across the storm altar while Noah fought the angel. Each tag was tiny, a sticky badge that said Kyle's Closet Maintenance Inspection. Stupid looking. System valid. The roof guardian noticed. Noah did not understand at first. He was too busy looking heroic, blade flashing, lightning roaring, cloak whipping in wind that had not existed yesterday. Then the storm angel paused mid-attack. Its head turned toward the stairwell. Far below in my dungeon, the sink altar sparked. Iris whispered, guardian attention acquired. The roof shook. The storm angel screamed and launched itself downward, smashing through floor after floor, chasing the claim signal like a hawk chasing stolen meat. Noah chased it, furious. Brooke's chat updates became frantic. Kyle stole the bus. I did not steal it. I invited it aggressively. The storm angel hit the fourth floor hallway like a meteor. Every light exploded, windows shattered, the corpses outside my entrance vaporized, my black metal door bent inward. For 1 second, I regretted everything. Then I remembered regret was a lever. The angel was too large for the closet entrance, but the dungeon had expanded inside. It forced one wing through the door. Lightning burned my walls. Iris cried out in static. Noah arrived behind it, shouting for everyone to attack. Players filled the hall. This could have become his fight again. So I changed the battlefield. I opened the trap hall, the stairwell, the restroom subdomain, and every shadow path at once. The dungeon entrance unfolded like a paper mouth. The storm angel fell inside. So did Noah. So did 12 unlucky rankers. The door slammed shut. Brooke was left outside, screaming in chat that she needed access. I gave her a viewing window. Not because I liked her. Because legends need witnesses. Inside, the storm angel tried to spread its wings. Bad idea. My dungeon rule activated. Every invader must pay attention to the floor. The floor under the angel became stairs, tiles, buckets, slippery slopes, and missing steps all at once. Its wings hit walls that were farther apart 1 second and closer the next. Lightning blasted through pipes, only for the storm armor above my sink to drink part of it. Noah recovered fast. I will give him that. He landed in a crouch, lightning blade raised, eyes locked on me. You are interfering with humanity's strongest player. I was standing on the bucket throne with a wrench in one hand and a soap bomb in the other. I said you brought humanity into my closet without wiping your feet. That was more dialogue than I liked during a crisis, but Brooks' viewing window caught it, and global chat loved it. Noah attacked. He moved like a storm pretending to be a man, every step cracked tile, every slash left light behind. He was faster than any hunter, stronger than any purge unit, and angrier than a person should be about interior design. I did not fight him directly. Direct fights were for people with armor. I made him share space with the angel. When Noah charged, I tilted the floor under him 2 degrees, not enough to trip him, just enough to shift his line. His lightning slash hit the angel's wing. The angel screamed and countered. Noah dodged. I opened the mercy gap under his landing foot. He jumped over it. Good. I had expected that. The jump put him in front of the sink cannon. Iris fired pressurized storm water into his chest. He flew backward, hit the angel's halo, and got shocked by his own element. Ava, watching through a side shadow, sent me one message. Beautiful. Rankers tried to help Noah, but the trap hall treated teamwork like a disease. Shields got separated from shield users. Mages found their spells redirected into buckets. Spear users stabbed walls that dodged. One player tried to bless the floor and accidentally blessed the friendship bucket. The bucket glowed. Iris whispered, "Bucket sanctified." I whispered, "Finally." The storm angel realized I was the owner. Its burning face turned toward me. Its halo opened like a saw. It fired a beam of pure lightning straight at the core. I had one chance. I activated the captive shadow seal. The assassin shadow spread over the core, forming a black mirror. The lightning hit the mirror. For one breath, the whole dungeon filled with white fire. Then the mirror redirected the beam into the storm armor. The storm armor redirected it into the pipes redirected it into the bucket, and the sanctified friendship bucket redirected it into the floor. Every trap in the dungeon charged at once. Rat teeth sparked. Zombie snares glowed. Hunter wires hummed. The no mercy gap became a mouth. The angel's health dropped by a quarter. Noah stared like I had slapped physics. I did not waste the moment. I used the badge printer. I had prepared one final tag. Not a claim tag. A maintenance tag. It read hazardous loose cable. I slapped it onto the angel's lightning chain with the plunger handle. The system recognized it. Hazard registered. Dungeon maintenance rights activated. Iris whispered, "Owner may remove hazard." The angel's chain was part of its body, part of its weapon, and now, thanks to the stupidest legal loophole in the apocalypse, part of my maintenance problem. I pulled the chain. The dungeon pulled with me. The chain tore free. The storm angel collapsed, suddenly unbalanced. Noah saw the opening and attacked its core. I let him. He drove his lightning blade deep into the angel's chest. The boss's health fell to almost 0. Then I opened shadow storage under Noah's hand. His blade vanished for half a second. Not long, not stolen, just delayed. The system did not count his final strike. During that half second, the friendship bucket dropped from above, glowing with sanctified storm energy, and bonked the angel's core. The storm angel died. The dungeon got the kill. Because I owned the dungeon, the contribution came to me. Global chat became unreadable. Brooks' message cut through everything. Kyle's bucket just stole Noah's boss. I gained 7 levels at once. My class awakened. Class acquired Dungeon Trickster. Core authority increased. Location evolution available. Noah rose slowly from the cracked floor. For the first time, his perfect expression broke. He looked at me like I was not weak. He looked at me like I was offensive. "This is not strength," he said. I was shaking from mana drain, leaning on a wrench, barely standing. "No," I said, "it is rent." Then Iris opened a trap under him and dropped him into the restroom subdomain. He did not die. But Brooke got a perfect view of rank 1 landing in a mop sink. That was enough. After the Guardian event, nothing was the same. The ranking board updated at dawn. Noah remained rank 1 in personal combat. But overall contribution had a new category. Anomaly control. Dungeon ownership. Boss capture. Resource distribution. Environmental kills. My name climbed. 54th. 31st. 17th. 9th. 3rd. Then the board paused. Global chat held its breath. Second place, Noah. First place, Kyle. I sat on the bucket throne, wrapped in bandages, holding a cup of water the sink had filtered from what I decided not to think about. For a long moment, I felt nothing. Then my hands started shaking again. Not from fear this time. From the weight of being seen. Everyone who had mocked me saw the same board. Everyone who had called me a coward saw their own ranking under mine. Brooke wrote, "The closet is officially above us." Ava sent, "Congratulations. Also, Noah is going to try to murder you harder now." I looked at the dungeon map. Storm Angel's corpse had become a new power source. The trap hall had evolved. The restroom subdomain had expanded into pipe maze. The stairwell now led to 3 sealed doors. The core pulsed under the sink altar like a second heart. Iris whispered, "Owner recognized as top contributor. External hostility increasing." Of course, being underestimated was dangerous. Being recognized was worse. Because now people would stop making stupid mistakes. I needed to become more dangerous before they became smarter. The class Dungeon Trickster came with 3 abilities. First, Rule Twist. I could bend one dungeon rule for 10 seconds if I paid a cost. Second, Baitcraft. Items I made could attract specific enemies, players, or events. Third, Coward's Return. Once per day, if I was outside my dungeon and terrified enough, I could instantly return to the bucket throne. The system actually measured terror as a resource. I had never felt more personally attacked or professionally supported. Ava found that hilarious. She visited after the ranking announcement with a bag full of stolen medical supplies and storm-charged glass. "Your ultimate ability is panic teleporting home. I prefer tactical retreat. Does it trigger if you are only mildly nervous?" Iris answered before I could. Owner is rarely mildly nervous. Betrayal from my own walls. But Ava was right about one thing. I needed to leave eventually. My dungeon could grow by absorbing threats, claims, pipes, shadows, and connected spaces, but the tutorial would end. If I stayed ignorant of the outside, Noah would create a countermeasure. The system would create worse anti-camping punishments. Players would stop entering my territory. A trap only works if something steps into it. So I made the most horrifying decision of my new life. I opened the door and walked into the hallway. Not far. 10 steps. Then 20. My heart punched my ribs the entire time. The hallway looked different now. People had cleaned some of it, or maybe the dungeon had eaten the worst parts. My entrance loomed behind me, black metal and blue light, like a monster pretending to be architecture. 10 steps from the door, I learned something humiliating. My power did not vanish outside the dungeon, but it became shy. Iris could whisper through my shadow, but not shout. The floor no longer belonged to me. The ceiling did not care about my opinions. Every open angle felt like a mouth waiting to bite. Then Ava screamed from the elevator lobby. I did not think that was rare for me and usually a mistake. I ran. The lobby doors were jammed open. The elevator car was hanging half a floor below, cables stretched like black veins. Ava was on top of the car, one hand gripping a snapped cable, the other hand holding up a healing barrier, while 3 armored scavengers climbed down the shaft toward her. Below her, something huge scraped inside the darkness, dragging claws against metal. The scavengers had not come to kill monsters. They had come to steal Ava's healer mark. Someone had discovered that healing skills could be ripped out if the target was weak enough, and the attacker had the right curse blade. I felt the old panic rise, not useful fear, the messy kind, too much space, too many angles, no bucket throne, no shelf, no door mouth. Iris whispered, "Owner distress increasing, cowards return charging." "Not yet," I whispered. Lead scavenger looked back and laughed when he saw me. He had a curse blade in his teeth and a hook in each hand. To him, I was still the closet guy outside his closet. That was the mistake I needed. I took one more step into the elevator lobby and threw my portable emergency kit onto the floor. People think a kit means bandages and food. Mine had 4 claim tags, 2 soap bombs, a pocket coil of wire, a rat tooth strip, a paper wet floor sign, 1 badge printer cartridge, and a tiny cup from the sink altar filled with water that Iris called legally questionable. I slapped the first claim tag on the elevator call button. Temporary maintenance access requested. The button glowed blue. The shaft was not mine, but the button was connected to the elevator system, and the elevator system was connected to cables, doors, emergency brakes, and the little speaker nobody had used since before the world ended. Ownership does not always need the whole body. Sometimes it just needs a nerve. Iris whispered, "Partial access acquired. Duration 20 seconds. Good enough." I hit the speaker button. A burst of feedback screamed through the shaft. The scavengers flinched. Ava looked up and saw me. Her face did not say help me. It said do something stupid. I could do that. I threw the wet floor sign into the shaft. It fluttered down like a yellow bird and stuck to the elevator car roof beside Ava. Then I tossed the cup of sink water after it. One clean splash spread across the metal. The sign activated. Caution field formed. Lead scavenger landed on the car, slipped instantly, and kicked his own ally in the chin. The cursed blade flew from his mouth. Ava caught it by the handle, looked surprised, then stabbed it into the elevator roof to keep from sliding. The thing below roared. A health bar appeared in the darkness. Shaft crawler, too many legs, too much mouth, absolutely not. The crawler lunged upward. I used the second claim tag on the elevator cable. Hazardous loose cable. The system recognized it. The Dungeon Maintenance Authority stirred like a sleepy dog. For 3 seconds, I had permission to correct the cable. I corrected it by releasing the emergency brake. The elevator car dropped 5 feet. Everyone on top went weightless. The crawler missed, smashing its face into the wall where Ava had been. Then the brake caught again with a shriek, launching the scavengers into the ceiling grate. Ava clung to the cursed blade and shouted something that sounded like my name and a threat. I took it as encouragement. The scavenger with the hooks recovered first. He threw one hook at me. I ducked, but not fast enough. It caught my bucket helmet and ripped it off my head. The open hallway air touched my hair. I felt naked. The crawler climbed again. The scavengers were still alive. Ava's barrier flickered. My 20 seconds of elevator access had only 6 left. So I stopped trying to control the elevator. I controlled the one thing everyone had ignored. The helmet was still linked to the dungeon. It had been made from a bucket, and buckets had rights in my territory that no sane legal system would understand. The hook had dragged it into the shaft, spinning on its chain. I activated bait craft. Target shaft crawler. Bait owner helmet with panic scent. The crawler's entire body snapped toward the bucket helmet. It forgot Ava. It forgot the scavengers. It wanted the shiny little piece of terrified ownership swinging above its mouth. The hook scavenger realized too late that his chain was attached to it. The crawler lunged. I pulled the rat tooth strip across the chain and jammed the other end around the call button. The chain went tight. The crawler bit the helmet, yanked downward, and dragged the hook scavenger off the elevator roof. He screamed into the dark. The system marked him unable to continue, which was a very polite way to describe his situation. The other 2 scavengers tried to run. Ava kicked the cursed blade loose, slid across the wet roof, and threw it like a dart. It pinned one scavenger's sleeve to the wall. The other jumped for the ladder. I used the badge printer cartridge by hand, scraping it across the wall like chalk. It printed one ugly label. Unauthorized ladder usage. The ladder folded flat against the wall. The scavenger dropped, hit the caution field, slid across the elevator roof, and slammed into Ava's boot. Ava looked down at him. He surrendered without dialogue, smart man. The 20 seconds ended. Elevator access faded. Iris's whisper became faint again. The shaft crawler was still chewing on my helmet below, making horrible metal crunching sounds. Ava climbed out with the cursed blade, 2 stolen hook belts, and the kind of expression that meant gratitude would arrive later after violence. You left the dungeon, she said. I pointed at the elevator shaft, only technically. I brought a smaller dungeon with me. She looked at the emergency kit, the wet floor sign, the bitten helmet chain, and the surrendering scavenger curled on the floor. That is not what smaller means. The rescue changed my power in a way I did not expect. Portable territory practice recognized. Skill acquired pocket claim kit. Iris whispered, owner may deploy temporary closet principles outside primary dungeon. My fear settled into a new shape. The hallway was still dangerous. The world outside was still too wide, but now I knew I did not need the whole closet everywhere I went. I just needed one connected object, one rule nobody respected, one small place where the enemy assumed nothing important could happen. That was where I lived. That was where I won. Players nearby stopped talking. Some backed away. Some whispered. One pointed at my bucket helmet. Yes, bucket helmet. I had reinforced a smaller bucket with storm glass and wore it on my head because assassins existed and dignity did not protect skulls. Brooke appeared at the end of the hall with a floating camera spirit over her shoulder. She was smaller than her global chat presence made her seem, but her eyes were bright with calculation. She wore a jacket covered in charm tags, and every tag looked like it had been traded from someone desperate. Kyle, she said, the world wants an interview. I said the world can slide 3 cores under the door. She smiled like I had given her exactly the answer she wanted. Are you scared of Noah? Yes. She blinked. Honesty was not what she expected. I continued, I am scared of Noah, assassins, rats, unstable plumbing, and whatever is breathing behind door 2 downstairs. Fear is how I notice things. Her camera spirit tilted. Brooke's expression changed, not softer, more interested. She asked, did you plan to become number 1? No. Did you plan any of this? I looked back at the closet. I planned not to die in the next 10 seconds, then I kept repeating the plan. That clip spread faster than any trap video. For some people, it made me relatable. For others, it made me more insulting, because if a coward could reach first by surviving 10 seconds at a time, what excuse did brave people have? Noah answered that question with war. He challenged me publicly at noon. Not to a duel, he knew I would refuse. He challenged my dungeon to a raid. Under tutorial law, a top-ranked player could declare a formal raid on a claimed anomaly. If the owner accepted, both sides received rewards. If the owner refused, the anomaly lost protection for 1 hour. Noah had found a rule made for people like him. He wrote, Kyle, accept the raid or prove your ranking is stolen. Global chat waited. Ava told me to refuse and prepare for the protection loss. Iris calculated a 28% survival chance if Noah attacked during the penalty. Brooke hovered in the hallway, practically vibrating with content hunger. I accepted. Everyone thought I was insane. I was, but I had read the raid rules 3 times. Noah saw combat. I saw paperwork. Formal raid conditions required a declared entrance, declared raid party, declared objective, and declared victory condition. Noah declared his party, himself and 9 elite players. Objective: destroy dungeon core. Victory condition: core destruction or owner death. Then the system asked me to declare defender conditions. I smiled. Defender objective: preserve core. Victory condition: raid party exits voluntarily, becomes unable to continue, or accepts negotiated maintenance fee. Noah did not notice the last part until it was too late. The raid began. I changed the entrance. Black door opened not into trap hall, not into the closet chamber, but into a clean reception area with a counter made from the old shelf and a sign that said Dungeon Maintenance Office. Brooke's camera spirit almost fainted with joy. Noah entered first, lightning blade ready. He expected traps. I gave him a form. A paper slid from the badge printer slot. Raid liability waiver. He cut it in half. The 2 halves became 2 waivers. He burned them. The ashes became fine print on the floor. Every member of the raid party stepped on the fine print. Iris whispered, consent inferred. Noah's eyes narrowed. What did you do? I did not answer. Excessive dialogue ruins timing. The reception area dropped away. The raid party landed in trap hall, but not my old trap hall. This was the upgraded version. It studied them. Each player's fear, strength, and habit became a trap pattern. The shield user got narrow bridges. The fire mage got wet floors. The spear fighter got short ceilings. The healer got fake, wounded illusions crying for help. Noah got straight paths. That was the cruelest trap for him. He believed straight paths existed because he deserved them. He charged through the first corridor, dodging wires, cutting snares, blasting shadows. He was amazing. I hated how amazing he was. He cleared in seconds what would have killed most players in minutes. So I stopped trying to slow him. I made him faster. Rule twist activated. For 10 seconds, every step Noah took counted as 2. He crossed half the dungeon instantly. His party fell behind. He reached the core chamber alone. That was not the boss room. That was the waiting room. The core he saw under the sink altar was real, but wrapped in 7 layers of ownership mirrors. Every attack on it reflected into a maintenance debt unless the attacker stood on the correct tile. The correct tile moved whenever someone looked at it directly. Noah attacked anyway. His lightning blade hit the first mirror and shattered it. Pain ripped through my chest. A crack appeared in the real core. I gasped on the bucket throne. Ava grabbed my arm. Stop playing with him. I said I am not playing. Noah hit the second mirror. Another crack. He was brute forcing the trek. That was the danger of overwhelming power. Sometimes it was enough. I needed his attention split. So I charged the negotiated maintenance fee condition. Every trap his party triggered added debt to the raid. Every waiver ash under their boots counted as acceptance. Every broken wall, burned wire, dented bucket, and insult to plumbing became billable. The badge printer screamed like a dying bird and printed an invoice so long it curled around the room. Noah ignored it. Then the system enforced the fee. Raid party movement reduced until payment. Noah froze mid-swing. Not completely, just slowed. His blade crawled through the air like it was underwater. His eyes widened. Iris whispered, billing successful. I stepped from behind the sink altar, wearing my bucket helmet, holding a wrench connected to storm cable. Noah strained against the debt effect. You think a bill can stop me? No. I lifted the wrench. But it can hold you still long enough for maintenance. I hit the floor. The sink cannon fired upward. Storm water hit the ceiling, spread through pipe roots, and rained down on every member of the raid party. The water carried tiny claim tags, each one printed with hazardous behavior notice. The system registered them as maintenance hazards. Iris opened the floor under the party one by one, dropping them into custom holding rooms. Not prisons. Customer service booths. Each booth had one chair, one waiver, and one angry mop construct. Noah broke free by sheer force. His lightning exploded, clearing the debt slow. He lunged and grabbed my collar. For the first time, he got his hands on me. The room vanished from my mind. There was only his grip, his strength, his eyes, and the knowledge that if he landed one clean hit, my cleverness would spill across the floor. Coward's return did not help because I was already home. No trap was between us. No lever was in reach. Noah raised his blade. Ava threw herself forward to heal me before the strike landed, but she was too far. Brooke's camera spirit floated in the viewing slit, silent. Iris whispered one word. Floor. Every invader must pay attention to the floor. Noah was not paying attention. He was looking at me. I smiled. Then I dropped my weight. He held my collar so he came down with me. My knees hit the tile. His boot shifted 1 inch. 1 inch onto the correct tile. The ownership mirrors recognized him as a valid maintenance agent for exactly 1 heartbeat. I grabbed his wrist and forced his lightning blade into the cracked mirror. Not an attack. A repair. His own power surged into the core, sealing the cracks he had made. The system chimed. Unauthorized raid party has contributed to dungeon repair. Maintenance fee partially paid. Raid party morale decreased. Noah looked like he had swallowed a thunderstorm. Iris activated the sanctified bucket. The bucket swung from the ceiling and hit Noah in the back of the head. He fell face first onto the invoice. Raid party unable to continue. Defender victory. The reward screen exploded. Dungeon rank increased. Safe room authority restored. Raid tax acquired. Title upgraded, Coward Architect to S-Rank Coward Architect. I lay on the floor beside Noah, shaking, laughing, and maybe crying a little under the bucket helmet. Brooke whispered into global chat, he made rank 1 pay rent. Noah survived the raid. That was both good and bad. Good because killing him would have turned half the tutorial against me. Bad because humiliating him turned all of him against me. He left without speaking. His party followed, bruised, billed, and carrying less gear than when they entered because raid tax was not a metaphor. I used the tax to build the rest chamber I had pretended to have earlier. That was important. Dungeon cannot grow forever on enemies alone. It needs function. It needs a reason for people to enter without hatred. It needs the weak, the wounded, the clever, and the desperate to see it as useful. The rest chamber became a narrow room with clean water, warm light, and bunks made from office cubicle walls. Ava helped design it. Her healing worked better inside because Iris rooted recovery aura through the bedding. I charged fair prices. Mostly. Noah's allies paid more. Brooke paid in publicity. She wanted exclusive access to the safe room for a live interview. I allowed it after making her sign a waiver that promised she would not reveal the exact location of the core, trap triggers, or my emergency snack shelf. She asked why the snack shelf mattered. I said morale infrastructure. She did not argue. The interview changed things again. Brooke asked sharp questions. She tried to make me look funny, scary, and sympathetic all at once. I answered honestly when honesty helped and vaguely when it did not. Were you ashamed of hiding? Yes. Are you still ashamed? No, shame is expensive. I spent it on upgrades. Do you think you deserve rank 1? Deserve is a word people use when they do not like the scoreboard. Are you a hero? No. A villain? Also no. What are you? I looked at Iris's walls, Ava's healing bunks, the traps humming behind panels, the bucket throne sitting proudly at the center of the chamber. Prepared. That clip spread even wider than Noah's raid failure. By the end of the day, people stopped calling my dungeon an exploit. They called it the fourth floor fortress. The system noticed. Public recognition threshold reached. Location evolution available. Fortified dungeon seed may evolve into recognized safe zone. Conditions: provide shelter to 100 players, repel 3 hostile waves, maintain owner survival. Warning: safe zone recognition will attract calamity class event. There it was. Every reward had teeth. A recognized safe zone would protect people. It would give me influence, resources, and legitimacy. It would also paint a target on my door big enough for fate to throw rocks at. I asked Iris for survival odds. She paused longer than usual. With current upgrades against calamity event, owner death probability 72%. Ava said, then we do not do it. Brooke said 72% is amazing content. Ava glared at her. Brooke raised both hands. I mean terrifying, very sad, continue. I looked at the chat requests from wounded players, people trapped between floors, people hiding in conference rooms, people who had mocked me on day 1 now asking if the closet had space. I did not suddenly become noble. That would be too clean. I saw an opportunity. 100 sheltered players meant 100 witnesses, 100 debt threads, 100 possible allies, 100 reasons why Noah could not simply destroy me without looking like a monster. Kindness and strategy pointed in the same direction. That is when a clever coward becomes dangerous. I accepted the evolution condition. For the next 6 hours, the 4th floor fortress turned into the busiest place in the tower. Ava organized triage. Brooke organized traffic because she liked telling people what to do, and people listened when her camera spirit glared at them. Iris managed space, expanding bunks, folding corridors, assigning safe spots, and whispering threat labels into my head. I handled problems. There were many. A wounded player tried to steal a healing charm. The floor gently folded him into a wall pocket until he apologized. A group tried to cut the line. I sold them priority access for triple price, then used their payment to treat the people they cut in front of, which made everyone cheer and made the cutters look stupid. A spy tried to map the core route. I let him map a fake route that ended at a room full of angry mops. A fire mage panicked in the rest chamber and almost burned a bunk. I gave him a job boiling water in the pipe maze and called it fire duty. He became useful within 10 minutes. A monster wave hit the hallway during peak shelter hours. Not system anti-camping this time. Natural spawn, goblins, bone dogs, and crawling lamps with teeth. Players screamed and tried to rush inside all at once. That would crush the wounded. So I used my newest function. Dungeon zoning. I split the entrance into 3 mouths. 1 for wounded. 1 for fighters. 1 for monsters. Monsters did not know they had their own entrance until the floor politely guided them into a loop corridor called guest processing. Guest processing was not polite. Goblins chased illusions of weak players and found themselves running on slick conveyor tiles toward the friendship bucket. Bone dogs bit fake ankles made of mop heads and got tangled in cable. Crawling lamps with teeth were attracted to shiny coins, so I fed them into the loot refinery one by one. The fighters watched from behind a shield window. Some looked inspired. Some looked disturbed. Good. A fortress should inspire disturbed respect. The first hostile wave was repelled. Then the second came from inside. Noah's sympathizers had waited until the safe zone was crowded. They thought I would avoid deadly traps with civilians nearby. They were right. So I used non-deadly traps with socially deadly consequences. The sympathizers began shouting that I was hoarding supplies. They tried to start a riot in the rest chamber. Brooke's camera spirit caught every word, but people were scared and hungry, and fear spreads faster than truth. I needed to stop the riot without looking like a tyrant. So I opened the invoice board. Every person who entered the fortress had a visible account. Payments, services, debts, contributions. I made it public on the wall. Then I displayed my own account. Incoming monster cores, coins, items, labor. Outgoing water, healing, shelter, trap materials, repairs, food distribution, rescue bounties. My profit was almost nothing. Not because I was generous. Because growth ate everything. The room quieted. Then I highlighted the accounts of the loudest sympathizers. He had paid nothing, taken healing twice, stolen food once, and triggered 4 repair charges. Brooke whispered, "Oh, that is brutal." The crowd turned on them without me lifting a finger. I offered the sympathizers a choice: work off the debt in the pipe maze or leave through the monster entrance. They chose the pipe maze. The second hostile wave was repelled by accounting. The third wave was personal. Noah came alone. He stood outside the fortress entrance while wounded players slept inside and fighters held their breath. He did not draw his blade. That made him more dangerous. He spoke through global chat so everyone could see. Kyle is turning survivors into dependencies. Today he gives water. Tomorrow he charges for air. He hides behind weak people and calls it strategy. That hit harder than an attack. Because a lie wrapped around a possible truth cuts deep. Was I helping people or building a kingdom out of their fear? Ava looked at me. Brooke looked at me. Iris said nothing. The fortress waited for my answer. I could mock him, I could show invoices, I could activate traps, but Noah had challenged the one thing I had not fully decided about myself. So I made a rule. Not a dungeon rule. A public one. Anyone inside the fortress could leave anytime with 1 day's basic supplies, no debt collected at the door. Anyone who stayed could pay with coins, cores, labor, scouting, crafting, or defense. Anyone too weak to pay would be marked under emergency credit until recovered. Anyone who tried to exploit that credit would be assigned to Brooke for public explanation duty. Brooke said, "Do not weaponize me without a contract." I said, "You are being paid in drama." Accepted. The rule appeared on the wall. The safe zone recognition meter jumped. Noah's expression tightened. He had expected defensiveness. I gave him policy. Then I added one more line. Any player, including Noah, may request shelter under the same terms after surrendering hostile intent at the door. Global chat exploded again. Brooke wrote, "Kyle just offered Noah bunk bed." Noah left. He did not attack. That counted as the third hostile wave. Safe zone recognition condition complete. The fortress shook. Walls expanded, the rest chamber widened, the entrance became a gate, blue fire burned above the door. The hallway outside cleaned itself, not perfectly, but enough for wounded players to stop stepping over corpses. Kyle's closet evolved into recognized safe zone, 4th floor fortress. Owner authority increased. Public shelter law established. Calamity class event will arrive in 1 hour. The cheering stopped. 1 hour. The system had perfect timing. The calamity was called the janitor. I thought that was a joke at first. Then the system showed the warning image. A tall figure in a long gray coat, a mop like a scythe, a bucket chained to its back, a face hidden behind a cracked porcelain mask. Its title was not monster, boss, guardian, or purge unit. It was correction entity. Purpose: restore improper maintenance hierarchy. Brooke stared at the warning. So the final boss of your closet arc is your manager. I hated how right she was. Iris became quieter as the hour counted down. When I asked why, she said the janitor's authority overlapped with hers. It could clean claimed spaces, erase traps, reset rooms, and revoke ownership if it reached the core. In other words, it was built to delete me. Ava organized evacuation routes. Brooke kept the public calm by turning fear into tasks. Players reinforced doors, carried water, sorted loot, and moved the wounded deeper into the safe zone. I prepared the battlefield. But normal traps would not work. Janitor could clean filth, remove hazards, and reset disorder. My whole strategy was weaponized disorder. So I needed to make cleanliness dangerous. I upgraded the rest chamber first, scrubbing it spotless with Iris's help. Then I polished the trap hall. I organized the caltrops into labeled bins. I coiled every wire neatly. I folded the paper towels. I cleaned the bucket. Ava looked genuinely scared. Kyle, why is the bucket shiny? Because the janitor expects mess. Brooke whispered, that is somehow worse. I turned the dungeon into the cleanest nightmare in the tutorial. Every trap became maintenance approved. Loose wires were placed in cable channels until triggered. Slippery floors were marked with caution signs, making them official hazards. Poison zones were sealed in labeled containers. The No Mercy gap received a handrail. The friendship bucket was polished, sanctified, and given a tiny sign that read Employee of the Month. The system recognized all of it. Maintenance compliance increased. Trap legality increased. Correction resistance increased. That was the secret. The janitor could erase improper hazards. So I made the hazards proper. The hour ended. Every light in the fortress turned white. The gate opened by itself. The janitor walked in. No roar, no dramatic music, just slow footsteps and the sound of a mop dragging across tile. Players behind the shield windows went silent. The janitor stopped at the entrance, looked at the polished floor, and tilted its masked head. For one precious second, I felt confusion from it. Good. Even a correction entity could be surprised by compliance. Then it raised its mop scythe and swept. The first corridor vanished. Not broke, vanished. Traps, walls, signs, stains, everything erased into clean white emptiness. I felt the deletion like ice in my bones. Iris cried out. The janitor took one step forward. I activated Rule Twist. For 10 seconds, every invader must pay attention to the floor became, every cleaner must respect wet floor signs. A yellow sign appeared in front of the janitor. Caution. The janitor stopped. Its mop trembled. It could erase hazards, but disrespecting a valid caution sign violated its own nature. The fortress held its breath. I rolled a single drop of water across the tile. The sign remained valid. The janitor could not step. Brooke whispered, Kyle is fighting a calamity with workplace safety. 10 seconds ended. The janitor moved again, faster now. It cut through the sign and advanced. But those 10 seconds gave Iris time to rebuild a side corridor. Ava moved the last wounded group deeper. I charged the sink cannon. The janitor swept left. The side corridor erased. It swept right. The shadow pantry went blank. It pointed at the friendship bucket. The bucket's shine dimmed. I felt actual rage. No. I pulled every maintenance tag in the dungeon into one command. Emergency spill response. The sink altar erupted. Water flooded the floor, but not dirty water. Clean water, perfect water. Water so pure the system labeled it sanitation grade. The janitor could not erase sanitation. It had to manage it. Its mop moved automatically, absorbing water. While it mopped, it could not attack. I shouted for everyone with ranged skills to fire. Players behind shield windows unleashed arrows, sparks, stones, ice shards, and one suspiciously large stapler. The janitor's health barely moved, but its coat tore. Under the coat was not flesh. It was keys. Hundreds of keys hanging inside an empty body. Iris whispered, authority keys detected. If we took a key, maybe we could stop it from erasing parts of the dungeon. But someone had to get close. Ava said no before I spoke. Brooke said absolutely not. I said cowards return works once today. Ava grabbed my sleeve. It works if you are outside and terrified, right? Yes. Are you terrified enough? I looked at the janitor, which had just finished absorbing the water and was turning its mask toward me. Very. I stepped outside my safe line. The janitor moved like a guillotine. Its mop scythe cut through 3 shield layers and shaved the edge off my bucket helmet. I slid under the swing, using narrow space combat in open space, which felt like trying to write with my wrong hand. I threw a soap bomb at its mask. It cleaned the soap midair. I expected that. The bomb was bait. Behind it flew a claim tag, reading unauthorized tool. It stuck to the mop scythe. The janitor froze for half a breath to process the violation. I dove into its coat. Inside was cold, dark, and full of jingling keys. Each key had a label. Door reset. Trap removal. Stain purge. Owner eviction. Core sterilization. That one was bad. I grabbed owner eviction. The janitor's hand closed around my leg. Pain shot through me. My fear spiked so high the system window flashed red. Coward's return available. I crushed the key against my chest. Then I let the fear take me home. The world snapped. I landed on the bucket throne, gasping, with the key in my hand and the janitor's fingers still gripping my boot. Just the fingers. The rest of it was across the room. Ava yelled something. Brooke yelled louder. Iris absorbed the owner eviction key into the core. Owner eviction resistance acquired. The janitor stopped walking. For the first time, it looked angry. Its porcelain mask cracked wider. Behind the crack was a tiny blue flame like Iris's core, but pale and cold. I understood then. The janitor was not just a monster. It was a failed dungeon owner. A correction entity made from someone who had claimed a place, lost it, and become the thing that erased other shelters. That could be me. If the system reset me, if Iris died. The fear changed shape again. Not smaller, sharper. I had one key, one resistance, one chance. The janitor raised its mop scythe with both hands. Iris whispered, "Final sweep incoming. Estimated fortress loss, 90%. I whispered, "Can we survive 10%? Yes. Then stop protecting the walls." Ava said, "Kyle." I ignored the horror in her voice. Iris understood. The janitor swung. I released every outer room. Trap hall, reception, rest chamber walls, pipe maze branches, shadow pantry extensions, fake corridors, guest processing, all of it detached from the core and rushed toward the janitor's sweep like dry leaves into fire. The final sweep erased them. The safe zone screamed. Players watched rooms vanish around shield windows, but the core chamber remained, the bucket throne remained, the sink altar remained, the first closet remained. 10%. The janitor paused after the sweep, empty for 1 second. Every calamity has cooldown. That is not bravery. That is mechanics. I activated Baitcraft with everything I had left. Target correction entity. Bait 1 perfectly clean, unauthorized, owner-marked, sanctified bucket. The friendship bucket rolled forward, shining like destiny had terrible taste. The janitor looked at it. Its whole body trembled. A bucket under another owner's authority. Clean. Powerful. Wrong. It could not ignore it. It stepped toward the bucket. The floor under the bucket opened. Not a trap. A drain. Janitor followed it down into the pipe territory because cleaning tools belong near drains. Iris sealed the pipe behind it. Janitor began erasing from inside, but now it was in the one place I had made strongest after the closet, the pipes. Storm water surged, sanitized flood channels opened. Every caution sign, every maintenance tag, every invoice, every claim badge, every debt thread, every tiny legal trick I had built came alive at once. The pipe maze was not messy. It was bureaucracy with water pressure. The janitor fought for 7 minutes. 7 minutes is an eternity when each second costs a wall. It erased 3 pipe branches. It sterilized 2 trap reserves. It almost reached the core through the sink drain. Ava poured healing mana into me so I could keep commanding. Brooke narrated with a shaking voice, no longer performing, just witnessing. Iris pushed herself beyond safe limits. I used Rule Twist one last time. For 10 seconds, maintenance hierarchy reversed. The janitor was a tool. The bucket was employee of the month. The pipe maze recognized the bucket as supervisor. The sanctified friendship bucket slammed into the janitor from behind, driving it into the core of the pipe maze, where the Storm Angel's lightning still lived. I pulled the owner eviction key's broken handle from the core and stabbed it into the janitor's pale flame. The flame flickered. The janitor reached toward me through the sink drain, fingers scraping tile. I did not move. The hand stopped an inch from my face. The porcelain mask cracked in half. For 1 second I saw not a monster, but a tired human eye behind the flame. Then the janitor dissolved into keys. Calamity class event cleared. Recognized safe zone defended. 4th floor fortress has achieved S-Rank. Owner title upgraded. Kyle has become SSS-Rank coward architect candidate. Candidate. Not full. The system always kept a knife under the reward. The fortress was ruined. Most outer rooms were gone. The rest chamber survived only as a folded pocket near the core. The hallway gate was cracked. The pipe maze was half erased. The shadow pantry was empty. The friendship bucket was dented, glowing, and somehow smug. But the players were alive. 112 sheltered. 0 civilian deaths inside the fortress. Global chat did not mock me. For once, the silence felt like respect. Then Brooke wrote, "I take back every closet joke except the funny ones." Ava sat beside me on the floor and leaned against the bucket throne. "You won." I looked at the damage, the cracks in Iris's core, the warning lights still blinking. No, I bought time. Because beyond the tutorial barrier, something had noticed us. The janitor's keys remained in a pile under the sink. Most were broken, 3 were intact. Door reset. Trap removal. Basement access. Iris whispered the last one like it hurt. Basement access was not part of the tutorial map. That meant under the office tower, beneath the parking garage, beneath even the dungeon roots, there was another space. A space the system had locked. A space the janitor had carried a key for. Before I could inspect it, the ranking board appeared again. Safe zone defense contribution calculated. Calamity clear bonus calculated. Public dependency network calculated. Anomaly growth calculated. My name stayed first. Noah stayed second. But a new list opened under ours. Final apocalypse game condition unlocked. The words appeared so quietly that, for 1 second, nobody understood them. Then the entire tower stopped breathing. Every monster outside froze mid-step. Every broken window stopped rattling. Every flame hung in the air like a painting. Even the red sky beyond the office tower paused, as if someone had pressed a finger against the world and told it to be quiet. The chat went wild. Final condition. What does that mean? Is the game ending? Noah sent me a private message. Kyle, do not touch anything stupid. That was rich coming from the man who had once tried to electrocute my closet because he thought my mop bucket was unfair. Ava read the message over my shoulder. She looked exhausted. Her healing light flickered around her hands like a candle in a storm. Brooke's camera spirit floated above us, recording everything with a terrified little sparkle. Iris whispered from the walls, "Owner, the basement access key is reacting." Of course it was. Universe had just watched me survive a calamity janitor by weaponizing plumbing, and now it expected me to make a mature decision. Terrible choice. I picked up the basement key. The moment my fingers closed around it, every screen in the tower changed. Apocalypse game final rule revealed. Victory is not awarded to the strongest killer. Victory is awarded to the player who creates a recognized shelter capable of surviving the final correction. For 3 whole seconds, nobody typed. Then the global chat exploded so hard the windows shook. Shelter? What do you mean, shelter? We were supposed to kill monsters. We were supposed to climb ranks. I stared at the window. My mouth slowly opened. Then I started laughing. Not a cool laugh, not a villain laugh. A cracked, tired, slightly insane laugh from a man wearing a dented bucket helmet in a ruined janitor closet throne room. Everyone had rushed into the apocalypse because the system showed them swords, ranks, kill counters, and loot. Everyone believed the game rewarded violence. But the true ending had been hiding in the fine print like a rat behind a mop bucket. The apocalypse game was never asking who could kill the most. It was asking who could keep people alive. And somehow, by being the biggest coward in the building, I had built the only thing that counted. Ava covered her mouth. Brooke whispered, "You have got to be kidding me." Iris said, "Shelter recognition at 99%. My laugh died. 99. That is a horrible number. That is the number a system uses when it wants to stab you during the victory pose. Another window opened. Final correction will begin in 10 minutes. All remaining players will be drawn toward the highest recognized shelter. If shelter integrity reaches 0, apocalypse game continues into extinction route. If shelter integrity survives until countdown end, apocalypse game concludes. I looked at the cracked walls. The fortress was barely standing. Most outer rooms were gone. The pipe maze had been half erased. The trap reserves were burned out. The shadow pantry was empty. The friendship bucket was dented, glowing, and somehow still smug. 112 survivors were inside. Outside, thousands more were still scattered through the city. And in 10 minutes, the system was going to drag them all toward me. Noah's second message appeared. I am bringing everyone I can. Do not die before I get there. For once, I did not have a sarcastic answer ready. Because if Noah brought everyone, the fortress would be overloaded. If he did not, those people would die. Ava saw my face and understood. Can the closet expand again? I looked at Iris. The walls dimmed. Iris did not answer right away, which was worse than no. Owner expansion requires materials, authority, or sacrifice. I hate when systems list sacrifice like it is a normal payment option. Brooke's camera spirit lowered. What kind of sacrifice? Iris whispered, dungeon territory. The answer hit me harder than any monster. To protect more people, I had to give up the fortress. Every trap hall, every false corridor, every little unfair murder corner I had built with fear and spite. All of it could be converted into shelter space. No tricks, no maze, no kill boxes. Just room. A normal hero would have done it immediately. I am not a normal hero. I stared at my beautiful, terrible closet kingdom and almost cried. Then the first wave of players appeared outside the cracked front gate. Not rankers, not fighters. Civilians, injured players, people with broken weapons and empty mana bars, people who had mocked me, people who had laughed when the global chat called me closet boy. A child no older than 10 held a frying pan like a sword. Behind them, the frozen monsters began to move again. Final correction begins in 9 minutes. I took a deep breath. Then I placed my palm on the bucket throne. Iris. Yes, owner. Convert the trap hall. The walls shuddered. Somewhere in the fortress, 100 blades folded back into the floor. Acid gutters sealed. Fake doors became real doors. Crushing panels turned into bunk beds. Spike pits filled with warm light. Shelter capacity increased. Shelter lethality decreased. That second line hurt my soul. More people poured in. The first monsters hit the outer gate. Without the trap hall, they got closer than they ever had. Ava ran to the entrance and began healing people as they stumbled through. Brooke stopped narrating jokes and started directing survivors like she had been born with a traffic whistle in her mouth. Iris stretched the rooms wider and wider until the closet was bigger on the inside than the whole office floor. I stood in the center, doing the only thing I was good at. Cheating with rules. Rule twist activated. Shelter definition expanded. Recognized shelter includes connected containers, cleaning carts, mop buckets, supply cabinets, maintenance lockers, and emotionally significant plumbing. For one glorious second, the system hesitated. Then every cleaning closet in the tower lit up. Doors that had been useless for days suddenly opened into my dungeon. People running through the city found janitor closets in subway stations, schools, restaurants, and parking garages glowing with my mark. The global chat filled with disbelief. A closet portal just saved me. I am never laughing at cleaning supplies again. Kyle is insane. Kyle is useful. I pointed at the friendship bucket. Go. The bucket rolled away like a tiny holy tank. Every time it bumped a closet door, that door became part of the shelter network. System threw stronger monsters at us. Not rats, not zombies, not hunters. These were correction beasts shaped like black bells, with mouths inside their shadows and hands made of broken timer needles. They did not try to kill players first. They tried to erase doors. Smart. Annoying. I changed the rule again. Baitcraft activated. Target correction beasts. Bait unauthorized safe exit with extremely suspicious cleanliness. Every monster turned toward a fake glowing door I placed in the middle of the pipe maze. The correction beasts rushed it. The door opened. Behind it was not freedom. Behind it was a laundry chute that led directly into the remaining acid gutter I had refused to convert because deep in my heart I am sentimental. The beasts fell screaming. Shelter integrity held. 7 minutes. Noah arrived like a thunderstorm with legs. He blasted through the front gate carrying 3 unconscious players under one arm and dragging a whole crowd behind him with chains of lightning. His armor was cracked. His face was bleeding. His pride looked worse. He looked at me. I looked at him. For a moment, all the old insults hung between us. Coward. Cheater. Glitch. Then he threw the unconscious players toward Ava and shouted, "Where do you need me?" That was how I knew the world was really ending. I pointed upwards. Storm marked to the sprinkler system. Noah did not ask why. He fired lightning into the ceiling. Iris caught it, the pipe screamed. The sprinklers burst open across every connected closet portal in the city, spraying charged water over every entrance. The correction beasts that touched the water froze for half a second. Half a second was plenty. Survivors slammed doors. Brooke's camera spirit split into glowing copies, guiding people through the safest routes. Ava healed until her knees shook. Noah kept pouring lightning into the pipes until steam rolled off his shoulders. And I kept trading pieces of my dungeon for lives. The shadow pantry became a nursery. The false corridor became an infirmary. The guest processing chamber became a cafeteria, which felt rude because it had been excellent at processing guests. The pipe maze shrank into one final loop around the core. The fortress was no longer a weapon. It was a shelter, and somehow that made it stronger. Shelter recognition reached 100%. Final correction target changed. The monsters outside stopped attacking the doors. They turned toward me. Of course they did. I was the owner. The final rule had a final loophole. If they could not break the shelter, they would break the person holding it together. Every correction beast in the network began crawling through the pipes toward the core chamber. Ava shouted my name. Noah tried to block the sink drain with lightning. Brooke's camera spirit flickered. Iris whispered, "Owner, if you retreat, shelter command may fail." I tightened my grip on the broken mop spear. I had spent the entire apocalypse surviving because I refused to leave one tiny room. Now, for the first time, the smartest thing I could do was stay exactly where I was for everyone else. The first beast came through the sink. I hit it with the mop spear. The second came through the vent. The friendship bucket smashed into it from the side. The third opened inside my shadow. I poured bleach on the floor and activated slip zone. For the next 4 minutes, the core chamber became the ugliest final battlefield in history. No heroic castle, no shining throne, no ancient dragon arena. Just cracked tiles, screaming pipes, holy cleaning chemicals, a bucket with anger issues, and me yelling at monsters to respect maintenance regulations. I used everything. Door reset. Trap removal. Basement access. The 3 keys from the janitor spun around me, unlocking rules faster than I could understand them. Door reset restored each entrance the moment a beast erased it. Trap removal deleted the monster's own attack patterns, leaving them stumbling like actors who forgot their lines. And basement access revealed the thing beneath the tower. Not a room. A root. The apocalypse game had grown from under the city like a black tree, feeding on fear, competition, and isolation. Every player who abandoned someone made it stronger. Every betrayal watered it. Every kill counter was a branch. But my closet had grown a different way. By accident, by cowardice, by stubbornness, by turning one unsafe place into shelter, I had created a root that grew in the opposite direction. A stupid little root made of mops, buckets, and people who did not die. The system offered one final window. Owner may claim personal victory and exit alone. Reward: complete survival, rank preservation, private world transfer. Cost: shelter network release. I stared at it. There it was. The real final trap. A door for one person. A perfect coward's reward. The old me would have taken it before the text finished loading. The new me was still terrified. That part had not changed. But fear is not the same as surrender. I selected decline. Then I used rule twist one last time. Target final victory condition. Original meaning: one shelter survives the apocalypse. New meaning: the apocalypse becomes the shelter. The system froze. The correction beasts froze. Noah froze with lightning halfway out of his hands. Brooke's camera spirit actually dropped to the floor. Ava whispered, "Kyle, what did you just do?" I smiled because I had no idea if it would work. That is the secret to looking confident. Be too exhausted to panic properly. I slammed the basement key into the sink altar. Iris opened every closet door at once. Across the city, across every floor, every subway tunnel, every ruined apartment, every school hallway and grocery store bathroom, every maintenance door connected to my dungeon. Not to pull people in. To push shelter out. Warm light spilled through the cracks of the apocalypse. The black root under the city twisted. It tried to feed on fear, but the shelter network gave it something else. Annoyance, hope, exhaustion, friendship, and an unreasonable amount of mop water. The kill counters above every player's head shattered. The rankings burned away. The red sky cracked like glass. For 1 second, I heard the system scream. Not in anger, in confusion. Apocalypse game final condition satisfied. Extinction route cancelled. Survival route completed. Apocalypse game concluded. The monsters dissolved into ash. The city lights came back one by one. The tower stopped shaking. People in the shelter cried, laughed, collapsed, hugged strangers, or just stared at their empty hands because their weapons were gone. Noah sat down hard against the wall and looked personally offended that peace existed. Brooke's camera spirit floated back up and whispered, "Best episode ever." Ava leaned against my shoulder, too tired to stand. Iris's voice filled the walls, softer than I had ever heard it. "Owner, shelter, integrity stable." Then she paused. "No." That word ruined the moment. "No." Iris whispered, "World integrity stable." For once, I had nothing clever to say. The closet door opened by itself. Beyond it was the normal hallway. No monsters, no blood rain, no ranking boards. Just flickering office lights, cracked carpet, and a vending machine that had somehow survived the apocalypse better than most governments. I stepped out. The global chat was gone. The kill counter was gone. My status window was gone. For the first time since the game started, the world was quiet. Then one tiny window appeared in front of me. Not blue like the system. Not red like the apocalypse. White, clean, almost polite. Final owner evaluation complete. Kyle SSS-Rank coward architect. Reward delivered. I waited for gold, a weapon, a crown, maybe a divine mop. Instead, the friendship bucket rolled out of the closet and bumped my shoe. A small brass tag had appeared on its handle. Property of the first shelter. Under that was one more line. Do not lose the key. I looked down. The basement key was still in my hand. But the basement door had vanished. Ava noticed it too. Where does that go now? I turned the key over. For a moment, the metal reflected something that was not the hallway. A clean white room. A row of closed doors. And shadows standing behind the glass, watching like judges at the end of a tournament. Then the reflection disappeared. Noah pushed himself up and saw my face. What now? I should have said something heroic. I should have said we rebuild. I should have said the nightmare was over. Instead, I looked at the key, then at the bucket, then at the harmless little janitor closet behind me. The apocalypse game was concluded. The world had survived. But somewhere beyond the rules we broke, something had taken notes. And I had a terrible feeling it was not done grading me. I put the key in my pocket. I picked up the bucket. Then I smiled. Because if the next thing wanted to test humanity, it had better bring more than monsters. This time I had closets everywhere.